Hey, Professor Sig here. Welcome to Writing 121. Just thought I'd walk you through some stuff you need to know for the class this term. Taking a look at the intro to week one, something you're definitely going to want to read. You'll be getting into an introductory video about John Perkins. And we're reading, I don't know, a handful of chapters from Perkins, not a whole lot. But they do have, they bring to bear a little bit on the quiz for week one. Then the discussion quiz for weeks 2, 3, 4, and let's see, I think 5, and that's it. Let me just check here. Two, 3, 4, 5, that's it. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 weeks. 1 month of stuff out of Perkins. It's not going to break the bank, but it gives us, common ground to talk about in our discussions, which is important. And then Essay 2. So I take that lead and I run with it for the topic for Essay 2. Essay 1, totally different topic. Essay 3, different topic. So one of the essays deal with ideas from Perkins. Now, one of the reasons I chose Perkins is the book is extremely inexpensive. I mean, very inexpensive. So I'm trying to save you some money, and it's a #1 bestseller from the New York Times. And it's sort of like the classroom equivalent of James Bond. I mean, it's like it's spy stuff that we can talk about. You know, obviously you can't really talk about James Bond in a class like this, but John Perkins, on the other hand, is kind of the intellectual equivalent of that. And so it makes for some interesting discussions and topics and talking points in here for about 1 month of the class. And make sure you look at the Essay 1 assignment directions. I do have a separate lecture for that, so I won't go into details about that, but it's something you'll want to look at. Let's just talk briefly about your introduction to the class. So a little bit different from your standard introduction, but it's something that will get you started writing. So please don't fall into the patterns that you may have from other classes, other online classes or whatever, where you just kind of run through the typical spiel of, what you're studying, a bunch about your family, maybe your pets, maybe, what else do people always talk about? We're trying to avoid the typical discussion, talk about something unique about yourself. And that isn't really very hard to do. We all have unique things. And frankly, on the discussion, if you fudge a little, I really don't care. I just want to get you writing. And I'm using your introduction as a sounding board to get you writing, rather than, it's really not about introducing yourself very much, frankly. It's about writing. So, and other students will read it, and that's great. Try to be entertaining. One of the things I stress in here is that being a lively, interesting writer is important. It does make a difference. Avoiding dry, boring essay writing is part of what I teach in here. Because when it comes to writing, being an interesting writer is part of being a good writer. You could be the best writer in the world, but if you're so boring, no one ever wants to read a word of what you write, you're really not the best writer in the world. even though you might have the craft down, if you don't have any spirit to it, well. So the same goes for Essay 1. You want to take a little bit of creative license with that. Don't completely make stuff up wholesale, but maybe you can fit together dovetail some details in your life neatly together by taking some minor liberties with the details. That's fine, right? It's about writing. There's no lie detector here. Now that doesn't mean that when it comes to plagiarizing other people's words or ideas, that's okay. That's a totally different ball of wax. When it comes to your own life, if you want to fudge a little bit, make it a little more interesting, a little more entertaining, that's fine. That's fine. And I hate to break the news to you if you weren't aware of it, but 99% of all autobiographies do the same thing. It's just pretty commonplace. So I guess that about does it for this intro. Welcome to Writing 121. It's going to be an awesome term. Really looking forward to it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'm here for you. And welcome.